All right, we should be live, and there we go. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chris, and this is my channel, Barn on 11970. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. And hopefully you'll learn something from this, or maybe get a different perspective. That's for you to decide and for me to talk about. So today is the 28th of June, 2017. It is currently 2:27 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And like the picture before you reads, and I'm going to talk about how it's okay to fail. Now, for those of you who've been watching my channel recently, you'll see the videos for the past month and a half, maybe 2 months, have been a little bit more, I guess, of a higher vibration or a different level, talking more spirituality, just going outside of the norm of what I was. In other words, in my mind, I was coming to a better point, a more spiritual point, a higher progressive point. And I was enjoying this run of coming up with all these philosophical thought patterns and seeing things in a different perspective. And then all of a sudden, and good evening, John, thank you for the comment. All of a sudden, things went from, I'm finally getting it, and I'm finally lifting up to another vibration. I'm starting to feel better. I'm starting to understand or understand things more. And all of a sudden, my world all around me collapses. And a whole bunch of situations, which I really won't get into any of the other stuff, but for example, like with my cat and a couple other things that were going on that I'm not going to speak about, really hit me hard and made me question, made me get angry, made me question if I was going in the right path. Was it something I was just saying and trying to make myself believe? And I fell backwards. And I even had a dream that night where I woke up and I said, I've fallen. In other words, I felt like I was getting more and more enlightenment, and then all of a sudden I've fallen to a angry level, depressed level, a questionable level. So in essence, I was failing, especially what I was teaching, and that's why for about a week or so I couldn't make videos, because I just didn't want to make a video just to make one. I wanted to have meaning, have purpose. And I just couldn't do it because I was just going through things and starting to question even things I was talking about. And then I started thinking about how sometimes you have to learn about what you don't want. And I've had a couple of videos talking about failure and depression and negativity and how you can utilize it to move yourself even further if you choose to. Because just because you move forward, just because you have a good day, just because things are starting to go in a direction that you've worked hard for, doesn't mean it will stay that way. And there are times where life just kicks you in the butt, and it makes you prove that you are as strong as you claim to be. Because one of the biggest things we as a society and as a species have the biggest problem with, and that is letting go of the ego. In other words, our own individuality and how we have to conquer everything and we have to be the center of attention. And we're always right in our perspective, and other people's perspectives are wrong. And if you don't think the way I do or feel the way I feel or believe in what I believe, then we're taught to hate you and divide from you. And I had to go through that process of saying, life is saying, okay, you're starting to get to another level. Do you really want that? Are you really genuine and sincere about it? Because we're going to test you. We're going to take all of that good, happy, peaceful feeling that you've worked so hard to get. We're going to take it away from you and see if you really want it back. Or are you just another person that is quick to give up because it's hard? And I really had to go through what I was going through to learn even more, to basically cement the fact that I want to continue, and many people do want to continue to better themselves. Because we all start out life with people telling us how to think, what to believe. It basically depends on the years you were born, in other words, generational, the location, the time. I mean, there's a lot of different factors, but we're taught a lot of things. And as we get older and more mature and experience things, we're almost in a way forced to have to think for ourselves when we're so used to everybody doing and saying and thinking for us. And that really can be a challenge for people. It's like a prisoner that's been in prison for 3/4 of their life and then all of a sudden set free. They don't know what to do because they're so used to other people telling them what to do and when to do it and how to do it, what they could and could not have. So it's a test for everyone. And even people on a spiritual awakening or trying to get to that level, you are going to fail at times. You're going to fall down. Now, strength is not being so afraid of failure that you'll do everything to never experience it. Strength is falling down and failing and still getting the strength to get back up again and continue the race. And I want to talk about something I was trying to talk about in the previous video that I said I would talk about, and that's with my cat, Luna. Well, I started watching these videos about before this little depression and all these things happened to me in about a week ago. I started watching all these videos about, meditation and how you could reach your higher self, your oversoul, getting into these different things, and I was finding them very fascinating. And I was starting to see things in a different perspective. And then when my cat Luna got so sick, and the way it happened was she sleeps in my bed at night with me. My wife works at nights, so I'm always alone, and I have my 3 stray cats. And my cat Luna, in the middle of the night, she'd always come over and cuddle with me, and I love that. I just have a connection with this animal. I love animals. I have a connection with her. I've had cats all of my life. And this was a stray cat that came to me when she was already 8 years old. I mean, I literally opened the door one day 2 winters ago to go get the mail, and she walked in. I mean, she was probably a day or 2 from starving to death. And there's just something about her I had this connection with. So when she got sick, it was around 6:30 in the morning. And every once in a while, she'd just have this thing where she'd just start throwing up. And it wouldn't be like a hairball. It would be this liquid. And she wouldn't do it very often, but enough to where we were like, there's got to be some underlying situation. And this particular morning, about a week ago, she's lying in bed with me, and I hear her about ready to throw up, so I go to grab, we always keep like a paper plate around just to kind of catch it so she doesn't throw up in the bed. And she throws up and then kind of falls over, like almost passes out, and then walks to the edge of the bed, which she's never done before. And then I look over, and she soiled the bed. And when I went over to her, she was hyperventilating. Her mouth was open, her tongue, she was panting nonstop. I knew something was wrong. And initially, we went to the emergency vet. I took her at 7 o'clock in the morning. Now, meanwhile, I go to bed at 5 o'clock in the morning, so this is with 2 hours of sleep. And they were saying that she might have a heart problem and stomach problems, and they have to do all these different tests and all these other situations. We have to keep her, do all these, tests to see if she's all right. And I really started to question things, because there I was at that moment before that. Went to bed that night feeling so enlightened. I was doing all these meditations. I was doing things I've never really done before, really fascinated by how good I was feeling and how strong I was feeling. And then all of a sudden, something that I dearly loved could have died. And it made me start to question things. But now that I look at it a week later, I look at it as almost a test. And I showed this to my wife. I talked about this to my wife just about 2 days ago, where for the whole week I was just like, you know what, that meditation stuff, it's a bunch of BS. This higher self, you know what, if we really loved people so much, why would somebody or something allow this creature that has suffered enough to have to continue to suffer like that? Why? That is so unfair. And I wanted to just throw everything away. But then I had a dream. And I had this dream where I don't remember the whole entire thing, but I remember in the dream, if you get into this higher self, the higher vibration and the oversoul, if you're at that level, some people are going to think that's crazy, and that's fine. I'm not here to convince anybody of any path. You choose the path you're supposed to be on. There's always different levels. That's why a kindergartner is never going to teach a college professor, and vice versa. They're just not at different levels. They're not better than each other. They're just at different points in their lives. So I'm not here to tell anybody how to live their choice. Whether it's good or bad or indifferent, that's their path. But I have this dream Because when I was researching all the stuff about the oversouls, they talk about meditation. They talk about, there was some hypnosis channels that I was watching, self-hypnosis and things like that. I just found it very interesting. And you're talking how you can leave your body and enter like a spiritual realm, another dimension, another higher self. And I had a dream the night before yesterday where I was dreaming that I somehow left my body and went above the earth, and I saw a version of me that was in all white. In other words, it was white light. In other words, a higher vibrational level. Maybe it was an oversoul, maybe it was an angel, maybe it was just a dream. Who knows? But in this dream, I'm consciously aware of what's going on. I've had that a lot in my dreams, or I've always been consciously aware, and I learn a lot from my dreams. And in this dream, I go to my quote-unquote higher self, whether it was God or an angel or just whatever. I say that my cat Luna, I love this animal so much, it's been through so much, and I have this connection with it. There's always a reason for it. So in the dream, I say to my higher self that I want to take in and absorb all of her pain so she can heal and be okay. Because we knew we had to make another appointment, which was yesterday now, to go to the vet to get the final conclusions of what was going on. And in the dream, I basically said to the oversoul, or my spiritual guide, or God, or whatever, that let me absorb her pain so she'll be okay. And when I woke up from that dream later on that morning, I woke up with the worst stomach cramps I've ever felt in my life. I mean, I even said it to my wife. I felt like I did 5,000 sit-ups, which obviously I did not. And I felt this pain in my stomach all day. And then when Luna first came back from the first visit of the first vet, the emergency vet with the situation, for the next couple of days, she was very lethargic. She didn't want to move around. She wanted to sleep. She did not seem right. And that morning when I had that dream, and I woke up with these really bad, intense stomach pains, all of a sudden she started feeling better. And then I started thinking, well, if this whole oversoul and higher self and all that's true, because they say that sometimes when you pray to a god or whatever, you have to ask for help. And at that moment, I was feeling, before that dream, that night, I felt very depressed. I was very angry. I didn't like the fact that I was teaching all this stuff, feeling really good. And just when I was getting to that next level where I was really feeling good, a bunch of things come all at once. Because like they say, when it rains, it pours. I wanted to just throw everything away and say, if you really care, if that's really true, then you will help me cure this cat. And she'll be okay. And I don't mind absorbing it if I have to, because I've dealt with pain all of my life. It's nothing new. I've almost died 5 or 6 times in my life. So what's another pain? And the next morning, she felt fine. She was running around. And when we took her to the vet today, there was no doubt in my mind, and I even was kidding around with my wife. I said, well, what if there was more to it than just a dream? And I said, wouldn't that be funny if we took her to the hospital, to the vet for her second visit, and they found nothing? And they did EKGs on her heart, and they did blood tests, and they couldn't find anything. As a matter of fact, the doctor said the worst that happened is when she threw up, she swallowed some of her, whatever that was, bile or whatever it was she was vomiting, and it clogged her lungs and made her pass out a little bit, and caused her heart to start overbeating. But they said they checked her heart and there was nothing wrong with her. And they said even though it's not very normal for a cat to throw up, the fact that she didn't lose any weight, the fact that she didn't lose any protein, and the fact that it's not like once or twice a day is no cause for concern. So to me, one of the things I started really researching is that when we come to this planet, and again, whether you believe in it or not, that's perfectly fine. I'm not here to convince anybody of anything, but I'm just sharing my perspective, my belief, my continuing changing of viewpoints. Because I don't believe in being stuck or being set in one certain viewpoint, never to change it, because you'll never grow. But I lost my train of thought. But I was doubting myself. I was questioning everything. And all of a sudden, everything that I believed in before that got smashed down, I've said, okay, this is really what I want. This is really what I'm believing in. It strengthened my belief to know that I could fail that bad to the point where I want to question it and just say, the hell with it. And then all of a sudden, a week later, come back with a greater perspective that reinforces what I was believing in. And that, to me, is very important for people to understand, is in this life, we have to let go of the ego if we want to progress. You don't have to do it, obviously, but I mean, if you want this, you have to do this. In other words, if you want to go swimming, you have to be near water. So there are going to be times where you're on cloud nine and things are going all the way that you want them to. You're working very hard. You're seeing the spoils of your labor. And then all of a sudden, everything could be taken away from you. And you say, well, the hell with it. I don't want this. And you go back to your old ways. Well, then did you really work hard enough to get what you wanted only just to let it go? Did you really want it then? Or were you trying to convince yourself of what you wanted? Because here's an opportunity to prove it, and you give up. And I almost did that. But it's like death. There's a huge difference between almost dying and dying. And if you can take any experience and get back up again and finish the race, or just can try and finish the race, then you've learned a valuable lesson, and you will increase your belief. It will strengthen. And I started getting right back into it again and saying, okay, it was what I was hoping it was. And I had to be tested. Maybe it's testing ourselves, because one of the things, and this is what I kind of went off track on, in my belief from what I'm seeing and experiencing in my life, is we kind of make contracts before we come here. And that's why I cannot believe that people say when you die you go nowhere, because we had to come from somewhere. Just think about that. Before you were born, you didn't exist, supposedly, and yet you came out of thin air just because a mommy and a daddy met and had a sexual relation. Well, how did you gain a consciousness? How did you become a conscious being? You had to have come from somewhere, just like you will always go to somewhere. And that's my belief. Whether you believe in that or not, that's up to you. But I believe that we have contracts that we sign, an agreement with people that will influence our lives, whether it's for one day or an entire lifetime. And they're there to teach us things to progress to other levels. And we're not supposed to remember, because how exciting would the world be if you knew what was around the corner? If you knew when you were going to die? If you had no surprises? You can't learn anything if somebody gives you the answers. Yes, you can get through school by cheating, but what do you learn? What use will it be when you're no longer in school and have to use what you learned in the real world? What benefit will it be to you then? And failure in this society with our ego, we're so afraid to admit failure. We're so afraid to say, my belief that I might have spent 50 years believing is not what I believe now. And you feel you won't admit it. You won't change direction. You feel life is directed in one specific way, and that's the way I have to go. That it's only true if you want to believe it to be true. And the ego says, you're not allowed to be vulnerable. You're not allowed to admit failure. once you let go of your ego and realize that failure is there to teach you to better yourself and reach another level, or just to reinforce a belief that you just claim to think you have. Because sometimes maybe the contract with my cat, maybe there was a contract, maybe cats and animals have consciousness and they're full of love. You ever have a dog just hate you just because of who you are? Animals tend to be filled with love. That's why so many people, and I've seen people, and I agree with this sometimes too, I would rather spend time with my cats than some of the people that I've considered friends for long periods of time. Because my animals, they don't question who I am or what I believe. They don't judge me on what I decide to wear. They just love me unconditionally. And what if there was a contract where if an animal had a consciousness, maybe that animal came and met me because maybe in a past life it was taught that people are cruel, people are all mean, don't trust them, there is no real love. And yet she comes to this family, and regardless of the fact that it cost over $1,000 to get her teeth extracted, and all the food that we provide, and then the medical bills from recently where it came out to, let's just say, over $1,000 again. And I kid around with my wife saying this is the most expensive cat I've ever had. Maybe that, what the cat's consciousness had to learn was that not everybody is bad. Not everybody gives up on you. That she was abandoned at whatever age and left to die, and somebody else came along and gave her the love that she needs. And what did I learn from it? That it's okay to fail. It's okay to have a new belief system and have it challenged, because I didn't give up, even when I wanted to. And life is going to teach you that sometimes, whether you really want to listen or not, because maybe it's that hello McFly moment. It's like somebody that believes in you so much that they won't hear the word no, and they will not give up on you because they want you to succeed. Maybe that's what we want for ourselves, but our egos get in the way. That it seems to be weak, like in the image, the person falls down while the others are still running. What's weak is choosing to stay down, not bothering to run anymore because it was too hard. If that person doesn't get up, that person guarantees to never win that race. If that person gets up, there's the possibility, depends on how determined that person wants to be, to make up the lost ground. Maybe the other three that are running see that one that was the biggest threat fall down and think, oh, we got it easy now. We can just jog because we're so far ahead. You have to, if you want to progress, let go of the ego. And know that sometimes you're going to be angry. Sometimes you're going to be depressed. Sometimes you're going to question the very things that have been introduced to you to reinforce that it's something that you really want. And when you see it from that perspective, it makes it even that much more beautiful that you get this validation of what you've discovered. Just agrees with you. It validates your belief. Even at times you don't see it, because how many people in this world just give up and just say, well, I failed once, failed twice. I've failed more times than I can count on a calculator. And yet I still try and be positive. In relationships in my life, 90% of the women I ever dated ended up just disappearing, never to explain why. And the ones that did always said I was just too good to be true because I was always so nice. And it took me until I was 40 years old before I found the woman of my dreams, who was everything that I want. And she doesn't have to be perfect for that either. And she loves me regardless of how imperfect I am. And that you're going to be weak at times. But that's okay. Don't beat yourself up because things have gone south or things are going bad. Just because it's been going bad for a day, week, month, year, decade, lifetime doesn't mean tomorrow is going to be that way unless you give up. So don't. The beautiful thing, see, we're taught to be afraid of the future, afraid of the unknown, because it hasn't happened yet. But if you view life as yin and yang, black and white, for every time you think failure can happen, there can also be opportunity. It depends on your mind frame, your way that you want to believe. Because if you view tomorrow as scary, well, your belief system is going to provide the very thing that you believe in to solidify your version of your truth through your own perspective, and life will be scary. What I say is, think of it as an opportunity, an excitement of the unknown, of what to expect, how it could be anything. For half of it being bad, the other half is good. But we're taught to always think so negatively. And that's the ego talking, thinking it has control, being afraid and using fear as an excuse to not get up. And free will, you have to remember, and this is the painful truth of free will. You have free will to do whatever you want, but so does everybody else. And if somebody's free will is to hurt you and stop your free will, well, their free will gives them the right to do that. Doesn't make it right, but it is their right. And we just assume that, oh, well, we're given free will. That means, we're free from being hurt or persecuted or judged. It all depends on the person next to you, or the people next to you, or the people listening to you. The people who come and thumb down my videos and don't like me for whatever reasons, they have the right to do it. That's their free will, to spend their limited time on this earth. Instead of growing and learning to better themselves, they're using their energy to pour hatred, which is really an inner hatred, that instead of molding it into something beautiful and using it to grow, they try and spew it out on somebody. And when we accept it is when they win. I no longer choose to accept somebody else's anger and somebody else's failure, somebody else's hatred. That's for them to deal with. I no longer wish to take that energy, just like you shouldn't. You're going to have people that are going to be jealous of you. There are going to be people that no matter what you do, they're going to hate you. But that's okay. We tend to, and it's like even YouTube people do this all the time, where we can make videos and we can have 500 complimentary comments. And then there'll be one person that says something hateful, and we'll focus on that one. What we're doing is we're bringing life to that negative energy that we don't want, and focusing on that one little perspective. And it's always a choice. And sometimes we just do it subconsciously. But once you learn the magic trick, it no longer can amaze you or control you. And it all comes down to choice. So if you're going through bad times, and watch, what I want you to do is in the next couple of days, come back to this video and read the comments. I guarantee you there will be people that say, that, Chris, this video came at the most opportune time, because all of a sudden everything is going wrong. And this video is just what I needed. If you think that is just a coincidence, you have that right. But that's why I've taught for years that the universe is made of light and magnetism, and we attract not what we believe, not what we think or pretend, not what we lie about, but what we feel. And that's why you can lie to everybody. You can even lie to yourself. But if you don't believe your lie, it's what you feel that will manifest to you. That's why if you feel that you're always going to fail, well, you're always going to be given that truth. And you will fail. But here's the beautiful thing. Everything can be changed. It all depends on how stubborn you allow your ego to be. Because like in a car, you can always stop. You can always ask directions. You can always turn around. You can always go a different way. In more ways than even the roads can handle. All you have to do is change your mindset. And it is that easy. You create your world, and others are there to test you, to see if basically you're full of crap. And this week, with all the things coming to me, and yeah, I got angry. Yeah, I got depressed. But I didn't let it defeat me. It came close to where I wanted to be defeated and just say the hell with it. How many more bad things can I deal with? And I realized, it's like, here it is, one of my animals that I have this great connection with, and I'm worried about some paper currency over the life of something that I love. Sometimes we all have to be reminded. So watch in the comment section in the next couple of days. You'll see that there are going to be people that'll say that this video is everything that I needed. And that's to show and reinforce your belief that sometimes you're going to fail. Sometimes you're going to fall. Sometimes everything that you started to believe in is going to turn upside down. Because it's a test to see if it's something that you really want. Because sometimes you have to work hard for it. And if you're not willing to do that, then how bad did you really want it? Because if you think you're just going to sit there and just have everything fall into your lap, well, I wish that was true. But how many people can you name have that kind of life? If you had everything, what would you appreciate? What would you look forward to? If you knew everything, what would be the purpose of learning? That's why there's infinite in this universe, because you'll never learn everything, because there's always an infinite amount you don't even know exists, which means you have this excitement that tomorrow you could learn something new. And that's why they say a wise man knows that he knows nothing. I'm not sure if that's the exact quote, but I'm sure you get my point. So just imagine being a forever being in an endless universe, that you will never die. You will just transform. And you will spend eternity learning as much as you can and knowing you'll never learn everything. And some people will just, like in school, if you fail a grade, you're going to keep coming back until you pass it. Well, what if we have different parts of our lives and past lives where we just keep coming back to have to learn a lesson? A lot of people don't want to be here anymore. Well, if you are tired of high school because you keep getting left back, you could quit, which means you're not going to learn all the lessons that you failed. Or you could finally learn the lesson so you can progress. That's up to you. So if you want to drown in your alcohol or your drugs or your whatever negative thing, saying it's just easier this way, you're probably coming back all over again. So the ironic part is, to get past the thing that you don't want, you have to learn it. If you want to progress, if you want to believe. And you don't have to. There are going to be people that listen to this and say, this is amazing. And there are going to be other people that will listen to 5 minutes and say, this person's absolutely insane. Again, different levels. You could progress, and you could take steps back, or you could just stay in kindergarten for your whole life because you just like to finger paint. You are where you need to be at this moment. And if you keep having the same things happen over and over again to the point where it's negative, something is trying to teach you something that you're not paying attention to. That's why angry people tend to stay angry, while others continue to grow. It's your choice to be a river or a pond. A pond doesn't go anywhere. It's full of gunk. It's stagnant. The water doesn't taste as clear. The water doesn't even look clear. It's filled with bacteria A stream, it's water to drink. It's clear. It's no major health problems drinking a stream flowing water because it's continually moving. Like they say, a rolling stone gathers no moss. So just think about where you are right now and why you feel the way you feel. Instead of just saying, woe is me, or screw that, or I'm just going to use drugs or alcohol or something to hide it, listen to it, learn from it. If you've fallen, get back up, even if it's for the 1,000th time. Because like they say with the lottery, you got to be in it to win it. And it doesn't matter if and just think of it that way. Think about from the age of 18 to the age of 80, you played the lotto every day and you didn't win. And then on your 81st birthday, you win. Do you really care about all the times you lost at that point? Do you really sit back and reflect about all the times you spent all that money in that time only to fail time and time again? Aren't you excited about your win? Better late than never? Life is what you make of it. There's a reason why this world is a dog-eat-dog kind of world, where people step all over each other to get ahead. Do you want to be one of those people? Because even if you're a religious person and you come to your judgment day, and your God is reflecting your whole life and putting it in front of you, and you spent the whole time being just like everybody else and using that excuse, well, everybody else did it. Does that make it right? Your ego is saying that. The true strength is a person that will not follow the crowd just to fit in and do something wrong just because everybody else is doing it. And they'll be mocked. They'll be abused. They'll be insulted. They'll be left behind. They'll be made fun of. They may even be murdered. But what do you stand for? What is your principle? Who are you as a human being? Are you a follower that does what everybody else does just to fit in, even if it's wrong, like the majority of this world does, who will one day have to answer when they say, oh, why did you do such an evil, wrong thing? And your response was, well, everybody else was doing it. Or on the other end, why did you look the other way when somebody needed you? Why did you shut the door on some animal? Because I could have easily shut the door on that animal. And we even tried it at first. Not because we didn't care. It's because we already had 2 cats and we didn't have much money. And I remember feeling horrible because it was in the middle of February. It was a blizzard. And this cat, Luna, who I now absolutely love and adore, stayed in my front yard and laid on the front patio in the snow. It knew it had to be here. And you know what? In my mind, she came to the right place, because it would have been easy to look the other way. Because at one point, I looked outside and she was gone, and she went to the next door neighbor. And they didn't take her in. She would have died. And we're taught to look the other way and to make fun of people that are suffering. Or if you're not suffering, that, as long as you're in your nice mansion away from everything and all the negativity, it's okay. Like you see all these Hollywood actors, how they talk about, oh, we all need to be together. We all need to unite. We have to let all of these people into our country, just as long as it's not in my backyard. Where's the integrity? The world becomes what you make of it. And if you're using fear to not let yourself progress or help, and you look the other way, or you join the crowd because everybody's making fun of that one poor little kid who maybe couldn't afford to get the best clothes, but maybe they had the best intention of their heart to want to change the world, and you punish them with your pain and joining in to hurt somebody, just imagine what heart you may have destroyed as it made you feel good to make fun of someone else. Just imagine the creativity that could be lost in the world because people don't think about the consequences of their actions. Some just don't care. It's all a choice. But you have to ask yourself, where is your integrity? How strong is your ego? How much is controlling you? How scared are you really? What is it you're afraid to face? Why are you not growing? Why are you looking the other way? Because it's easy? Because everybody else is doing that? I want a project for anybody listening to this that wants to better their life. Tomorrow, I want you to do something, whatever it is, I want you to do something kind for a total stranger. Whether it's opening up a door, whether if it's helping an old woman or man across the street, whether it's finding a home for an animal, I'm going to leave that up to you. But do something good for someone else. Don't ask for a thank you. Don't ask for a hangout. Don't publicize it and say, look, world, look what I did. Just do it. Because you never know what that little kind gesture will do. Because everybody thinks of everything as escalating like anger. How it rolls up into a ball and becomes like a little snowflake that rolls down a mountain and all of a sudden becomes a huge avalanche. Well, there can be an avalanche of good too. And if you want to better yourself in your life, the time to look away has to come to an end. The time of feeling sorry for yourself has to come to an end. The time of beating yourself up or drowning yourself in alcohol and drugs or hurting other people has to come to an end if you want to get to a higher level. And not many people want to do that. Not many people want to care. Not many people want to sacrifice. Not many people want to put in the effort. Not many people want to lose the anger because it holds them into place. It keeps them secure, keeps them grounded, which means they're stagnant. You cannot fly if you're grounded. And what does the world teach you? You got to keep both feet on the ground. You got to plant yourself in firm. You got to hold on tight. In other words, they're saying, you're no bird. You can't fly. And you've grounded yourself. You've cut off your own wings because we told you to. Or we didn't show them to you. And you were too afraid to look at your true self. Who do you think that really hurts? Because the world is very good at profiting off of our ignorance, out of our naivety, out of our belief systems, out of our fear. They profit well into the night with all of that. You don't want to lose their game? Don't complain while you're playing. Stop playing. Walk out of the casino. Put down their dice. Even if you think you have a control of it, because that's what they want you to believe. And then all you're doing is giving your energy to them. Whether you believe in it or not, whether you know it or not, whether you choose it or not. And do you think I would have learned this at 16, 17, 20, 30? No. I had to learn this over time. I had to be humiliated and attacked and hurt and left and abandoned. And have time and time again, pain after pain hit me and misfortune. Where every time I made a little bit of that fiat currency, which I say, is the cause of all evil, we all hold on to it because that's what buys us the loaf of bread that we need to get to the next day. In the grand scheme of things, I had to learn that an animal that I absolutely love, I had to sacrifice what little fiat currency I had to make sure that that cat was okay. And in the end, whether that dream was true or not, and I absorbed all of her pain, I don't know. But she ended up being okay. And to me, that's all that matters. It's not how we get there. And I don't give a damn if anybody believes it or not, because it's not for them, it's for me. Just like your experience is for you. I don't talk about this to get applause and praise. I do it to hopefully inspire somebody else to do the same thing. Because I can't force you or trick you into doing anything. Although it is easy to do that if I was evil. Because even if you have free will, a person can trick you to go in a direction. Governments have been doing it for how many millennia? And we fall for it all the time. We continue to fall for it for this day. But like I said, once you learn the magic trick, it doesn't have a hold on you anymore. So what are you waiting for? So whatever you do with this video, whether you comment or not, whether you give it a thumbs up or not, whether you share it or not, whether you believe in it or not, that's all on you. I'm sharing my experience for those who may utilize it to maybe put themselves in a better direction, look at things in a different way. And if you gain 1/1,000,000% of an enlightenment because of my words, then it happened for a reason, it happened for a purpose, and I'm damn sure glad I didn't decide to say I'm too scared to do it. Because somebody might make fun of me, or somebody might disagree, or somebody might make a video attacking me. Do you think if somebody watches this tomorrow, or a day from now, or a week from now, or a year from now, and it helps them, you think they give a damn that somebody else hated it? But we worry too much about the wrong things. We give our energy away to the wrong things. And too many people have taken advantage of you for that long. But they can't take advantage of you once you understand or understand. And that is what progression and enlightenment is all about. Is knowing your weaknesses as not failure, but learning lessons to get yourself to the success that you so desire. And I hope you find it. And this is coming from a person who has a high school diploma, went to college for 1 semester and dropped out, who was never taught these things, who learned it from his own experience. And if you appreciate that a simple person like me, a nobody, a Joe Schmo average person, as some of these rich people would be, the common man, if I can just come up with this to where it's helping people that I don't even know, then you have more power than you will ever believe. So once you start believing it, you'll see the difference, and you'll be tested. But here's the beautiful thing. If you change your life and you don't like it, you can always go back to what you were. So what do you have to lose? Thanks for listening. I hope you all have a great night, and I'll see you next video. Thank you for listening. I hope it helps change your perspective, even if it's just a little bit, and even if it's just for a day.